The tech industry came out swinging against Trump's latest push to restrict immigration, denouncing a White House-backed Senate bill that would cut legal immigration, i.e., green cards, in half and move to a merit-based system. How it works: the bill, known as the RAISE Act, doesn't actually touch temporary employer-sponsored H-1B visas that the tech industry cares about most. Instead, it would cut back on family visas and uncap permanent residency for refugees in favor of skilled workers that meet certain criteria. Senators Tom Cotton and David Perdue, the sponsors of the legislation, argue this approach will reduce the number of low-skilled immigrants that compete with Americans for low-wage jobs. Tech versus Trump, again favoring skilled workers while leaving H-1B visas alone, might seem like a decent deal for the tech industry. But instead, tech sees it as exacerbating the skills shortage while injecting more bureaucratic dysfunction. While it's not the end of the world for tech, there's really nothing in the bill for the industry to be enthusiastic about, a Republican advisor to the tech industry told us. Even though it raises the bar in terms of skills, it doesn't do anything to help temporary visa workers get green cards, and that just perpetuates the current problem for tech firms. Why tech isn't on board? According to industry sources and statements, tech has long had an alliance with groups supporting family immigration to avoid the zero-sum game tug-of-war between family-based and high-skilled immigrants. Supporting this bill would throw its allies under the bus. A points-based system would let the government dictate skills parameters and hiring practices. Tech companies want to retain the flexibility they have today to recruit their own workers. Information Technology Industry Council CEO Dean Garfield said it injects more bureaucratic dysfunction. Without increasing green card availability, temporary H-1B workers will still have no path to citizenship, perpetuating the skills shortage and uncertainty for visa holders. The best talent, including entrepreneurs who might be the CEOs of the next iconic company, may be lost to overseas competitors. TechNet CEO Linda Moore said Congress should instead focus on curbing H-1B abuses and increase numbers of green cards and visas for high-skilled workers. Some of the antitrust concerns associated with the merger of AT and Time Warner is about premium cable, thanks to Time Warner's ownership of HBO. A new white paper commissioned by competitor Starz for the Department of Justice lays out the case for how the deal could hit its business hard. AT could stop carrying Starz to its many video customers, the paper argues, or increase the subscription rate for packages that include Starz, or decrease AT&T's marketing of Starz, including efforts by its customer service representatives. Consumers would pay higher prices and have less choice for high-quality movies and other premium channel content, the authors, Jeffrey Eisenach and Timothy Watts, write. They also argue that there are cases in which the government imposed conditions on similar deals or shut them down entirely. The government is said to be mulling potential conditions for the deal. Worth noting, Eisenach has ties to the Trump White House, which is reportedly wary of the proposed merger, because he worked on the president's transition team. AT&T's response: this conclusion doesn't square with the facts, said a spokesperson in an email. We fully expect the DOJ to base its analysis on the facts and the law, as it always does, and not the work of HBOS competitors. Why it matters. While the loss of livelihoods is disturbing enough, the deeper sense of disappointment, as reflected in the findings of the survey, underlines the need for finding alternate and lasting solutions to restore their optimism, said Sunil John, founder and CEO of ASDAA Bursan Marsteller, the group that conducted the survey. On Bashar al-Assad, only 7% of the Syrians interviewed said they would return to Syria if Bashar al-Assad left. And 71% said ending the fighting is more important to reaching peace than Assad leaving office. Respondents were split on whether Russia helping Assad had a positive or negative impact in Syria. On Trump, 66% think that Trump's presidency won't have any impact on the Syrian conflict. Where would they like to live other than Syria? Canada 27%, United States 23%, United Arab Emirates 22%. The survey included 400 face-to-face interviews with Syrian refugees aged 1,824 to 50% male, 50% female. Half of the interviewees lived in refugee camps in Jordan while the other half were in Lebanon. This was just one part of the ASDAA Bursan Marsteller's 9th annual Arab Youth Survey, which included 3,500 interviews conducted with Middle Eastern youth between February 7 and March 7, 2017. This is the first time Syrians were included in the survey. Go deeper, see more result findings, here. A day after John Kelly was named the new chief of staff, he called Attorney General Jeff Sessions to let him know his job was safe, according to the app. President Trump had attacked Sessions for recusing himself from the Russia probe, venting in a New York Times interview, in a press conference and on Twitter. Kelly reportedly delivered the call on Saturday. On Monday, incoming press secretary Sarah Sanders said that Trump has 100% confidence in all of his cabinet. Why it matters. The call shows that Kelly is intent on getting the White House in working order by eliminating sources of controversy and internal division. This sounds familiar. After incurring Trump's wrath, other administration figures, notably Steve Bannon, were also able to escape the president's doghouse, though it's not certain that Sessions is fully in the clear. An excerpt from a recent Golf magazine article, in reference to President Trump's many visits to his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey as president. Trump has already made 4 visits to the club. He has his own cottage adjacent to the pool. It was recently given a secure perimeter by the Secret Service, leading to the inevitable joke that it's the only wall Trump has successfully built. Chatting with some members before a recent round of golf, he explained his frequent appearances that White House is a real dump. Golf magazine is the latest, and perhaps the most surprising, outlet to be labeled fake news by the president. Bio Frangione had been Greylock's Q for the past 7 years, before which he was CEO of tech companies Simply Continuous and Telefear. He has not yet returned his request for comment. Context: Greylock partner Reid Hoffman authored a decency pledge after revelations of sexual harassment and other inappropriate behavior by Silicon Valley venture capitalists. Included in his explanation, Hoffman wrote if a manager propositions his employee and defends his behavior by suggesting it's just 2 consenting adults, what do we think? Outrageous and immoral behavior that ignores the power relationship. The Chan Zuckerberg Initiative has retained the Benenson Strategy Group, run by Joel Benenson, a top staffer on Hillary Clinton's last presidential campaign. The hiring comes after speculation that Mark Zuckerberg could seek public office. Any work done with BSG will be focused on CZI's efforts around science, education, and other policy areas, said a source with knowledge of the situation, which was first reported by Politico. It is not political in nature. Our thought bubble: there are reasons why CZI would want to have access to public opinion polling. It is making donations and investments on contentious topics like the future of education, criminal justice and housing. But although Zuckerberg has said he isn't running for office, he and his wife Dr. Priscilla Chan are only stoking those rumors by hiring a man who boasts in the first sentence of his official bio of being the only Democratic pollster in history to have played a leading role in 3 winning presidential campaigns. The bigger picture: Zuckerberg and Chan are baking political advocacy into their high-profile philanthropy. Several of CZI's top communications staffers are veterans of Democratic politics. And its payroll includes David Plouffe, who masterminded Barack Obama's first runs, and Sarah Elamine, the former chief of Obama's outside organizing group. As a philanthropic organization focused on a number of substantive issues including science, education, housing and criminal justice reform, any research efforts we undertake would be in support of that work, a spokesperson for CZI told Axios. Benenson's firm did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Tesla continues to burn through cash at a bonfire rate, and doubts remain that CEO Elon Musk can deliver his new mainstream electric Model 3 at the pace he is promising. But Tesla's share price shot up by 3.8% in after-hours trading when it announced sharply higher than expected quarterly earnings, and Musk delivered a decidedly ebullient assessment of the company's prospects. "This is the best I've ever felt about Tesla," Musk told Wall Street analysts in a second-quarter earnings call. The $35,000 Model 3 is important both to Tesla and the market. If it succeeds in capturing large, year-after-year sales, Musk's big bet on creating a new carmaker will be a stunning success. Conversely, if sales are only middling or peter out, Tesla will probably fail. There does not appear to be a plan B as to the market. The Model 3 has driven almost every major carmaker on the planet to plan their own electrics. One thing raising Musk's spirits is the public reception for the Model 3. He said a telling measure is what journalists said after going for a spin at its July 28 coming out ceremony. 80% of the journalists said they would buy the cars themselves. The other 20% said maybe. "This is crazy. I've never seen anything like it." Tony Seba, a professor at Stanford University, told Axios that Musk has already succeeded with the Model 3. "This is the car that proves it can be done," Seba said. Essentially, everybody else will have to chase him. That will produce better and cheaper electric cars. The main numbers: Tesla lost $1.33 a share in the quarter, far less than the $1.88 consensus expectation. According to Barclays' Brian Johnson, the beat was driven largely by $100 million in zero-emission vehicle credits from California. But even without those 50 to 60 cents a share, Tesla's results would have met the consensus expectations. The company has 455,000 net orders of the Model 3, less than the 500,000 he had estimated on July 28. He said the difference is cancellations. Musk said reservations for the Model 3 have accelerated in the half-week since the launch, with 1,800 Model 3s being ordered every day. Orders also have accelerated for the upscale Model S and the Model X SUV. Musk also said the company spent $959 million in the second quarter, largely on building the giant battery gigafactory, and tripling the number of superchargers in the U.S. network. Spending in the second half of the year will be about $2 billion. Tesla ended the quarter with $3 billion in cash on hand. Musk isn't currently considering selling more stock to build up more cash, but is thinking of selling bonds. One thing making the Model 3 easier to manufacture than Tesla's prior models is the variety of options offered to customers. The different possible permutations of the Model 3 are 100 versus 1500 for the Model 3, which significantly reduces manufacturing complexity and streamlines the purchasing process for our customers, Tesla said in an earnings statement. This densification sets the stage for us to produce over 500,000 Model 3 vehicles annually. In a note to clients, Barclays Johnson, a Tesla skeptic, was not convinced. We don't put much stock in the 1,800 daily order rate. We'd prefer to see how the aggregate order book builds, and what the sales conversion is. It sure looks like a nice outlook post the self-described production hell. But with a wide set of parts required to meet the ramp, is it achievable? The key quote: "We aren't winning. We are losing." He called out Mattis for a perceived failure to gain ground in Afghanistan, even though Trump allowed him to increase U.S. troop deployment to the country a month ago. Trump reportedly illustrated his point with maps, and Mattis reportedly told him the U.S. doesn't have an effective strategy to make advances. Nicholson has told lawmakers he needs a few thousand additional troops, which reportedly upset the White House. Senior administration officials say the Pentagon has been considering extending Nicholson's time in Afghanistan. Trump suggested the U.S. should work harder on getting mineral rights in Afghanistan, as China has successfully done. At the table, Steve Bannon, Jared Kushner, National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, then Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, plus Mattis, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Jen. Joseph Dunford, and Vice President Mike Pence.